poems from my first book and some new unpublished ones. Revelation. Mind flying past its own raised paths, stubs of what was mind to hold the scenery in place. Feared crossing, is that a maggot or cumulus hovering? Will I find ground when I stomp on it, or will my hole fall through? I'm coming again to find comfort in the house, glowing like a billion feathers. Fatherwood, rusting blue, with premonitions of the reconciliation that won't be granted again. What was remembered of the failure? Is it that figure behind the dust, picking up, holding a fistful of grass? Do I give him directions to the error made? Can either of us be trusted in this terror? Or should I bend, show him my head? I can feel his wind hiding again, fanning the small fires, heat like a balm. Can you hear the blisters on God's tongue? I can, I'm almost there, so close to his mistake, so close, mother, to your book in his mouth. A brick. Only spoken to by moss and my mind slowly being combed for harm. The hard parts that can crush through meek gestures I've made towards a minor victory in this unknown town. It lies there on a tank, lulling me through my invisible extractions and incisions that are supposed to make me gain some extraordinary will and courage to come closer to its stillness. To learn some new way to know it has not been placed there for me. Neither have I been placed anywhere for anybody. It's the thing's inscrutable resistance that makes me want to lean into its shape, put my ear to it as if it were human once, to hear the lives it had left behind. I think I hear in its wrinkled grit something like weeping, a weary burn. I draw it closer to my mouth, my teeth. I know what in me is still weak. It will always be my turn. Domesticity. It's morning, but the vendors are already breathless, drinking water with deathly concentration. These men know they'll be saying the same words all day. I think I don't. Sometimes a scurrying rat, like an unwanted god, makes them look skyward. I am arranging my medicine box, maintaining for now a good distance from the husks of sleep. Soon I will blow them away to the sound of a drill driving through wood and liken it to the vicarious thrill of being trepaned. I'm waiting for the bell like a pill, keeping my mouth ready, clear of weeds, the ghastly wedding of synapses that often pulls my own hands towards my throat. What about the heart? It's not a room. The air is a solace of wires. It anchors the scream. It lends the illusion of travel. On a terrace, an old man squints at the sun, as if trying hard to pay attention to his genealogy, to a point at which a rupture occurred. A pigeon, vulnerable, thinks he's in hiding. He bloats himself up, trying to eclipse his eyes with his body. What I abhor in me begins its slow swoon from a great height. Pigeon, we are mistaken again. Be brave for us. Stay still and watch it pass. Chance casts its shadow across the tenements. The only predator here is prayer. my prize. I drag past the rocks until my heart feels evenly shattered, like needles tightly wrapped in silk. My lungs looking for another way to live, to unlearn air. Finding a spot to rest, I realized this is where the drunk had lost his step and fell all the way down to the mouth of the church on the road. I see the desired stranglehold of leaf and wind, each mound of rock widening the listening ear. I could be more terrified than this. Why isn't it enough to bask here on a bed of unbelonging, accepting what I have to? I won't understand what my body means to what's moving around. Moving, but not moved enough to nurture what I'm looking for. A herd of bison passes down in the distance. Blue flies hover over dung. This rest has suddenly long overgrown, like I am running out of flesh. I am being lended skin to absorb the spark cry of something in the distance, neither animal nor human. The want for a soul is dangerous to live with. The self doesn't know when or how, if at all. I can only think of you, not among the living anymore, and believe you were granted it when you were gone. I raise myself up, unsure of what's left of leaving. I'm in the halo of someone else's harm, squinting at the light coming with this bitter and hounding assurance that I'm not dying, not here, not now. I'm going to read some poems now from the first book. Writing. Left alone with the mind and morning, a few sparrows up in the guava tree, filled with what seems impossible, yet distantly possible. In the swift opening and closing of their tiny beaks, in that flash it seems possible to know someone or have unsullied companionship. And the self, you have a different voice today, says the voice to the voice, like a friend who was abruptly abandoned by his lover, without warning. But in truth, you were that friend. It's to tell the story and make a friend that you choose to begin that way. There's no story. It's another way of making you focus on branches and not on the next person you're going to break down to about your fear of death. Each saying is so different. It's unintentional, but full of intent, meant to make out who was here. They happen. Sometimes the sparrows throng to a low branch, almost making it touch the ground. And even when happy, I can't say it right to anyone. When furious, I think I appear amused, and being always terrified. Something always draws the lines, then drowns them in clouds, bits of sweet ash. It's too early to tell if this bowl of fruit on the table will do anything for your past. Let's face it, some things were already decided. The wind picks up pace because you say too much when you shouldn't. At different times, the looking changes. So much sunlight to ask, how could this body be abandoned? This one is so different from that one and that one. The grass says I am sense, but I will never be able to be. I had never imagined grass to be that painful. But in the end, if I ask myself and I'm looking out, deeply unhappy, am I facing it? Can I answer that? There's only so much the first person can do. Then there's you. I've been misled myself. There's no other way to explain or even try. A little justice for my mother would be enough. I can let go then for now the slow red worm crawling up the wall. Long shadow across fresh dung, like something to mark the passing of a brief moment of brilliance. Always in the sweet shadow of passing. How inconsolable. Leave it open. It's too early for the leaves. In another room, I am rising from bed with no desire anymore to put anything down, and with the tree's wisdom of grief, whatever that means. In what mode do I speak of the rock lying there, now a different bird coming to perch on it, now the sense in me arriving that it's time. At its core, always a spinning where it appears you're there but not. I am looking for a passage into my lover's mind, and the sparrows are all suddenly gone, taking with them the possibility and the impossibility. Probably have time for one last poem. My mother's brain. The shrub billows and glows in heat. Monkey shadows lead me to an unremembered line in my mind. Ferns swivel as if they've been forgiven by you. Everything has been forgiven by you, even God, and every word I will ever write to get to what you don't want to remember. For the longest time, whenever anyone muttered mother, I only heard murder. When I stepped out of the hospital that day into the light, I was like a scalpel held against air's throat. I had become dangerous, from then on looking for what they had removed to resurrect you. What was the truce made, I ask you, time? What truth of her did you take for you to resume your flow? Mother of thought lost to eternity, I looked at the fallen peaches, bruised, opened, making me drunk with their scent. Overgrown, flourishing with weeds, the valley seems impatient to help me fall towards it. Small birds make a line at the mouth of the gutter, rushing with rainwater. Crowds clamor to see the view, the unbearable beauty of the rest of the world, renewed each time by what you will never utter.